So, yeah, another power grab.
It's just all about control. That's all he wants, is all of this unlimited control, where he wants just the streets to be filled with his type of people.
I've been in DC many times, either, on vacation or for business. I have never felt unsafe there.
And New York is one of those cities. New York is not as dangerous as Trump is making it out to be. And we have these tourists that I see on threads who are like, oh my God, can I ride the subway? Bitch, yes, it is not. You're not going to get shanked on the subway.
We are going to start with that desperate attempt to take over DC, right? We've all heard about it. Liberation Day in DC, we are taking our capital back. And someone precisely pointed out, hey, I'm a German here. We remember that Adolf acted from within against his own citizens. The alarm bells are ringing so loudly. Open the window. You can hear me. Yeah, I've got some Matt out today. So let's listen to just a little bit of that.
In Washington, D.C., the rates of burglaries and assaults with a dangerous weapon are at their lowest point in 30 years. Nevertheless, because he's so tough on crime, President Trump today deployed hundreds of National Guardsmen and women into Washington, D.C. Send the U.S. military to become the police force in Washington, D.C. The lead in the Washington Post tonight, quote, President Donald Trump announced today that he is placing the D.C. police under direct federal control and will deploy the National Guard to the streets of Washington, an extraordinary flex of federal power that strips city leadership of its ability to make law enforcement decisions and could expose residents of the nation's capital to unpredictable encounters with a domestically deployed military force. A domestically deployed military force. Because tough on crime. You think it's really about crime? You think it's really about being tough on crime? Do you want to maybe track down the axe and machete triple murderer Trump just released to the streets of Orlando to go ask him if he thinks it's about being tough on crime? Or you maybe want to pop in to ask Ghislaine?
She's bringing the sass, and I am here for it.
She is. So let's now flip over to another reminder of why this is not fun.
Guard into Washington, D.C. 5 years late. Donald Trump didn't activate any troops on January 6th when his private troops were attacking the Capitol after he told them to go there and fight like hell. And he lied to them when he told them that he was going to go there with them. The biggest crime spree in the history of Washington, D.C. was on January 6th for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump did not send the National Guard that day. But now Donald Trump wants us all to be talking about his decision to send just enough National Guard troops onto the streets of Washington, D.C., so that news cameras can get pictures of them, the same pictures we've seen from Los Angeles, where the troops had absolutely nothing to do and are there for no reason at all, other than as a diversion from Donald Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which may be described in the Epstein files in a way that Donald Trump wants to keep secret forever.
Bingo, bingo. So let's talk about those two first.
I lived in DC in the 90s for many years, and I still actually have property there. And back in the 90s, Mayor Barry was in office, if anybody remembers that, and he was dealing cocaine and the whole bit, and the city there were certain parts of the city you just didn't go near. You didn't go anywhere near. I mean, as far as the northwest section of the city, you went as far as 17th Street. And a lot of it was just blight, and it was boarded up and the whole bit. That city is so beautiful now and so cleaned up. I mean, it took a little bit of hit during COVID. And the crime rates are down everywhere. You know, I feel very safe walking around DC and where I go when I'm in DC anyway. I don't go down to much of the tourist stuff anymore, but I just don't get it. The one thing I did notice last year, we went up to see her 2 years ago, and there were in the small parks, there were a bunch of homeless and folks, literally doing drugs on the street and stuff like that. And some of them were dancing around the street. And it was a little bit unnerving. I mean, there were needles right there, and I did have my daughter, so we did move a block over and walk a different block. But what do you do with that? Every city has that issue right now. So that's a whole different issue. So instead of arresting these folks, help them, whatever that. But that's all that I notice. I think the whole thing is just a test. It's just a test.
I mean, I lived in the DC area from 2014 to 2016, and we would do like when I was in grad school, and we would do like jazz fests and stuff in centers in like downtown DC. I would go to the National Mall, and like I would also go to the museums and stuff, and I never really felt like unsafe. I always felt pretty, safe and comfortable, and like I never went fully by myself, but like it was never anything compared to like what they're trying to say it is. And I don't know if any of you guys saw, what was it? Jim Acosta did like a live the other day where he's like, "I'm in downtown DC. Look at how terrible. Oh no, there's people riding bikes past me." And just like trolling everything. It was glorious.
I would agree with that. Every city has crime, but the reality there, it's a wonderful city. I never like what he does when he is occupying the White House, because he's the one who changes the city. He's the one who makes it worse.
I like your use of the term occupy the White House, because it sounds like he's basically commandeered it in an evil way, and we don't need him there. The mayor of Baltimore was on the What a Day podcast today, which, if you don't know that podcast, I highly recommend it. Great way to get news for the day. And he was saying how Baltimore has worked so hard to reduce their crime rate and reduce their murder rate that it's the lowest it's been in like 30 years or something. I would be so upset if I were running a city and living in a city and having someone denigrate all the hard work that you've done to make it a safer city for your residents. And New York is one of those cities. New York is not as dangerous as Trump is making it out to be. And we have these tourists that I see on threads who are like, "Oh my God, can I ride the subway?" Bitch, yes, it is not. You're not going to get shanked on the subway.
I agree. I went to New York City as a single person for the first time last October. I never felt unsafe. I walked all over the place. And it was wonderful. Love the city. I go there anytime.
A few years ago, I went to see like a concert or something at 54 Below, which is kind of like the theater district in New York. And I stayed overnight. I went on the bus by myself. I walked through the city. I ate at a restaurant by myself. And I'm usually a pretty cautious person, but like I never felt unsafe.
I'd rather get stabbed in New York City than be bored in Virginia. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, and we all know there's
my happy place, and I just love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are other motives.
I mean, a lot of people are saying it's a distraction from Epstein. For me, I guess it's both. But it's also a white supremacist making a racist move so that he can do that to Democratic states. And he's basically saying putting Black people on notice.
Yeah.
The whole thing, I saw a video where somebody was, I think it was on Don's show, where somebody was on their porch and is asking him for ID. I mean, it's like the overseers in the South on the plantation saying, "Show me your papers." Like, what the fuck is that? So I think everybody needs to be on notice, and it's just not going to stop with the Black population. It's going to go to poor, because he's targeting homeless, right? It's going to go to poor, white, anybody eventually.
The homeowners, the business owners, the National Association of Realtors, they should all be pushing back on this, because that's affecting their livelihoods, that's affecting their property values, that's affecting their city. And it's also going to affect tourism. You know, how many people want to go to a city when you're lined with the National Guard? There were so many military police around and Secret Service, and you walk around the monument stuff. You look up on the top of the buildings, and there were guys with long guns on, you know, Secret Service all the time. Yeah, I always felt safe in New York. So I
Yeah.
felt like, not New York,
Well,
DC.
we all know, I think we all know that this is nothing more than another power grab, right? Another power grab. And what he's getting ready for is mentioned in this particular segment.
Create a quote, domestic civil disturbance quick reaction force in cities facing protests or other unrest. According to the Post, who viewed this plan, if adopted, it would require 600 troops to be ready round the clock to deploy in as little as 1 hour.
Wow.
This as members of the National Guard report to Washington, D.C. to facilitate Trump's authoritarian takeover of our capital city. Attorney General Pam Bondi meeting today with D.C.'s mayor as she assumes control of the D.C. police for at least the next 30 days. Meanwhile, actual residents of D.C. who only have a single non-voting representative in Congress have been out in the streets protesting this takeover.
The whole idea that there is some kind of a crisis of disorder in DC is a made-up, phony story to distract attention from deteriorating economy, from the ICE raids, which horrify even people who wanted action on immigration, and of course from the Epstein files. I think this administration would like to take over not only DC, but any state or jurisdiction that doesn't completely bend the knee.
Bingo. Yes. 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 So, yeah, another power grab.
It's just all about control. That's all he wants, is all of this unlimited control, where he wants just the streets to be filled with his type of people, and to present like this. I think about the one video I saw where like Tucker Carlson went to Russia or something and was like fawning over like the grocery stores and all the stuff that was so neat and tidy. And it's like, cool, that's like one part of the country. Like, we are not Russia, we are not North Korea. Like, and he's trying, but it's just not, I don't think it's panning out the way he thinks it's going to.
But he left out the people who are suffering there. The people, yeah, they have these beautiful places. Most of the people there don't have the money to eat. There's so much poverty.
I saw
dictatorship.
I saw too somewhere where like whenever we think about Saudi or UAE, you always see like these big skyscrapers and all this lavish stuff. But then I saw pictures of what like the slums look like, and people don't realize that like that stuff is there too. And like, but that's just to your point of like, you don't show the people that are starving, the people that are suffering, and it's so much more with that.
I have a different take on that, Katie. It's not only about ownership or trying to control. I think he's baiting. He's baiting all the people of color to come out so he can have martial law. But guess what's happening? It's falling flat on him because none of the people of color is coming out. Others are standing up. So that's what I see.
Oh no, and I completely agree with that. I think I read somewhere that someone was talking about, how he has the guard in DC, but now actually it's backfiring because I guess officials in DC, not like in the White House and the administration, but they're talking about like statehood and stuff instead of all this National Guard stuff. Like, it's not putting in the fear that he wants them to have.
So what I've been thinking about this and why I'm very frustrated, and first of all, this is an attack on Black communities, like August just mentioned. They're trying to antagonize us. Yeah, us, the ones with the skin color, the ones that they really want to get active up in here so that they can activate their plan. We are the solution to the plan that they want to enact. let's just be very clear about
Well,
this,
that's what I'm
okay?
standing on as well, May Money.
Look at the cities that he mentioned in that unhinged, deranged ass whatever that was. He even had the audacity to mention Oakland, which he hasn't mentioned in years since his first term. And guess what he said? Oh, Oakland, oh, they're too far gone. Oh, so we too far gone. This is targeted towards Black people because if they can get us to get riled up, then they're gonna free for all whoop ass on every single one of y'all, unless you got $1 billion. Period.
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. And that is a big part of it, unfortunately.
Well, I want to see him go to Chicago with this. You know, he tried it in LA first. That's what was his introduction. And now he's in DC. And people from Chicago, they think like I do. So I don't think it's going to be safe for any of them to go. I know we say we don't want to react, but some of these cities are going to react. Well, what do you do if you don't react? Then they're just going to push the boundaries more and more. They're going to take more and more of your rights away. I mean, you have to act because if
At a
somebody
certain
walks up to me
like you have
and
to.
asks for some papers, like I think that they think that Black Americans are the same Black Americans that were in the past. Well, they had to. I don't know. We're different. I'm not doing it because my grandparents, my mother experienced Jim Crow. And I feel like I'm not doing service to their experience if I don't act.
That's how
I'm
I
not
feel.
gonna allow somebody to take away my human rights. I'm just not going to do it.
I mean, look, Marley, look at what happens in Cincinnati, and there's a few other places where Black people came out with they own straps and protected their communities, made sure that children are able to walk to school because they had white supremacists all up in their shit trying to terrorize people, and they were like, "Nah, bro, if you want to bring that shit over here, then bring it."
Yeah, you have to
I'm
protect
sorry,
yourself.
we are not doing this today. So if you want to bring that over here into our communities, then be ready to be about it. But a lot of these ICE agents, people, they are not about that life. So don't get it twisted. They're just really not.
You have to take care of yourself, man. The Black community needs to get your white friends out there fighting this, which I think we have been seeing, because he's just waiting for someone to screw up and he can just pull the trigger on everybody. And that's just my own opinion. I think that, it's not just, okay, we'll test it with the National Guard, but eventually we're going to bring out, his own private military of those January 6 people and gun people down on the streets
Those
because
people are
he has the
already
right
out
to
on
do
the
so.
They are already out.
They're already out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
What do
you're
you
right.
mean they're gonna come out? They're already out there, masked up and
Yeah.
everything. What are you
But I mean,
talking
I'm
about?
talking about, guns ablazing and like really just bloodshed in the streets with these folks driving by and that's just my fear. I
But
think
you
the whole
see,
thing about building the Alcatraz or in the alley, I think that's just a big cover. It's no different than an oven in the Holocaust. We're going to build this thing in Hurricane Alley, put 3 to 6,000 people there, wait for Mother Nature to take them all out. Oops, oops.
Well, you see, he's always surrounded by Secret Service, and they're
Right.
waiting for the opportunity to, okay, we gonna get you. They watching.
He has terrorized the Black community since his whole family has.
Mhm.
this
Dropping
country
rats
has
and
terrorized the
snakes.
Black community the
What's that?
entire time that we have been in the country.
Let Jim finish.
No, I'm talking about
This
Trump.
ain't new.
No, it's not new. That's what I'm saying. But
Right.
on a personal note, who the commander in chief is, who is in charge, who can turn whatever he thinks on whatever community he wants, and he's already proven that with the undocumented people and the Hispanic people and gay people and Black people, he's turning on whatever he wants to turn on. And his family did that all in the 60s and the 70s to the Black communities who lived in those buildings by dropping snakes in and turning water off and blasting the heat and making them so uninhabitable that people had to leave these buildings. And that's how he got rid of rent stabilization, and he got away with it. So this hasn't changed. This is just on a much bigger scale, scarier scale, because he's got all these sycophants and these followers, and he's got the power and the money to do it. So, you know, I think it's all we have to figure out how we survive together and we bring it down. And I don't have.
Well, we also heard in this last little clip what they're doing is they're preparing these troops for civil unrest, for protests, exactly what you and May and August, Marley were all talking about. So that's part of this, yes, end game that they're preparing for, because he knows this is going to get worse. He knows that when he tries to rig the 2026 election, which he's already doing, that people are going to come out in mass. And I'm afraid that's what we're preparing for.
I just wish he would fall on a rusty nail.
Keisha.
That's too slow.
Do your work. Filet-O-Fish. Come on.
Maybe somebody's up there like oiling the roof. So next time he just phew.
Rogue chicken wing. Somebody convince he can fly next time he on the roof.
So you want lockjaw with a rusty nail, right, Keisha? I hear you.
Whatever it takes.
Oh, that's not fun. My uncle had that when he was younger.
Jazzy, he doesn't eat healthy. That'll never happen.